When they were on a military battleground, they had support. Now they're in an economic battleground with nothing. That's wrong. We're not stupid. This is the richest country in the world. We're a better country than that. We have these young people who are here. Every spring, they graduate off a cliff into the worst economy since the Great Depression. They've got $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of debt that we told them to go get. And now they're praying to get an unpaid internship for 2 years, so that maybe someday they'll be able to get a job. That's wrong, with all the work that needs to be done in this country. We got homeowners in America. They bailed out these banks. The bankers themselves would be homeless based on their performance. If you want to have a free market capitalist system, well then you're homeless now, buddy, based on your wonderful job performance. But the American people came together. We passed the hat, bailed out the banks. And now those same banks that were saved by American homeowners and taxpayers won't even return the phone calls of homeowners today whose mortgages are underwater, who are facing foreclosure, who need a little bit of mercy from those banks. We're a better country than that. And if that weren't enough, if those insults weren't enough, now they want us to stand to one side while they attack and throw under the bus America's everyday heroes. Think about that. They talk about public employees. I keep hearing this term, public employees. I never met a public employee growing up. I never saw one. I saw teachers. I saw firefighters. I saw nurses. I saw librarians. I saw cops. I saw the backbone of my community. I saw people I was taught to respect as a child. I saw people who never abandoned us in a crisis, no matter how bad it got. Those are the people you expect us to abandon? No way, never. No way, never. You might not have any morals. We got some morals in this country. We were raised right. I don't know who raised these people, but we were raised right. We were taught to respect these people. And we're not going to let them be the scapegoat. If you want to know why the country is having problems, why the national government has a deficit, it's very clear. They had a surplus when Clinton left. They had a deficit when Bush left, mainly because of the Bush tax cuts and the Bush wars. If you want to do something about the deficit in those wars, reverse those tax cuts. But don't act like it's Social Security's fault, Medicare's fault. Don't act like we're broke. We're not broke because we help grandmama too much. That's their theory. We help grandmama too much. That's why we're broke. Then now we need to abandon the elderly and throw our everyday heroes under the bus. We're not that kind of a country. And it's no longer left or right. This is just right or wrong. I mean we're talking about the look at what made the last century such an extraordinary century. 1900, standing flat-footed. Every cause and constituency that you care about was in the garbage can in 1900. Women couldn't vote. They were in the garbage can. African Americans, people of color, had no rights at all in the garbage can. Workers had no rights. There were no weekends. There was not one paid federal holiday. They were in the garbage can. Children were working in factories. Children were in the garbage can. There were no environmental protections at all. The environment was in the garbage can. And lesbians and gays didn't even have a term in the English language. They didn't even get a garbage can. Didn't even get a garbage can. That was 1900. And there were some people who looked around and they said, this looks pretty good to me. This looks great. Let's conserve this. Let's have a movement that's about conserving this. And you had some other people who looked around and said, you know what? He said, you know what? He said, America is never going to be perfect. But we can have a much more perfect union than this. And they worked every day. They said we can progress beyond this. And they put blood in the ground. Some of them were martyred. They worked every day. They looked just like the people in this room. You. Day after day, week after week, month after month, decade after decade, so that by 2000, you had a completely different expression of American democracy. We invented along the way something called the middle class. There was no middle class in America until you built it. We invented along the way something called equal rights and liberty and justice for all. It was on paper. But people like you made it real. You know what they call that century? They call that century that you designed and dreamed and fought for and bled for and died for and marched for and voted for. They call that great century that the whole world now wants to emulate. They call it the American century. Your century, where we had progress in America. That's who you are. The people we are fighting want to repeal the 20th century. They want to repeal the American century, and we won't let them do it. Period. That's who we are. We won't let them do it. Don't forget that when you're out there and people are saying it doesn't matter. Or they're saying, oh, we're up in the polls by 0.5%, I don't have to worry about it. You know what they're going to do in the next few days. They're going to pull out every dirty trick. They're going to spin like crazy. They cannot suffer a defeat here, and neither can we. This is for all the marbles. This is it. Are these governors going to be rewarded for betraying our grandparents' values, or are they going to be punished? You determine that for the whole country. You set the direction for the re-election. You do that. And so it is critical that you recognize my last point. You're not alone. You're not alone. Our grandparents weren't stupid. America's not broke, and you are not alone. There is a rising movement in this country. In fact, I see some of these young people here. I came here on an airplane, and I was going, I'm just honest.